Hey everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we were looking at something that really blew up online.
Oh, yeah.
Big Shaq and the Trump inauguration.
Hmm.
You might be thinking, wait, what's the big deal? What's going on here?
Yeah.
But stick with us. Okay, trust me.
Yeah.
This is going to bring up some really interesting questions about art and artists and online culture, maybe even a little bit of philosophy.
Right.
And all wrapped up
Yeah.
in Big Shaq's signature comedic style. So
It's fascinating how something that seems like on the surface so simple
yeah.
can spark such a complex conversation and really bring up some deeper issues.
Yep.
You know, Big Shaq, the man's not hot guy,
Right.
shows up at a political event and people had thoughts.
They did. They had a lot of thought.
Sure did.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
some fans were just totally ecstatic.
Yeah.
Other people felt like this was totally clashing with his comedic image.
Mm-hmm.
But before we dive into all of those reactions, let's just quickly set the stage for anyone who might not know who Big Shaq is.
Yeah.
He's not just a one-hit wonder.
Right.
He's actually been doing this Roadman Shaq persona for years.
Mm-hmm.
Started on YouTube
Yeah.
with this series called Swayel, which stands for Somewhere in London.
Right, and that's such a crucial point because
Yes.
it shows that his comedic identity existed before this and long before any political association might have come into play.
Right.
So I think that's a really important piece of context
I agree.
when we're thinking about the nuances of how people viewed
For sure.
his appearance at the inauguration.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so back to the controversy.
Yeah,
Social media, as you can imagine, was on fire.
of course.
Some people praising him, some people criticizing, some people even felt personally betrayed.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't new.
Right.
Artists have always faced scrutiny for things that they do or people they associate with.
For sure.
I think what's different now is how fast
Yes.
and how intensely these criticisms can spread online.
Yeah.
It's like wildfire.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah, it's fueled by algorithms and opinions.
For sure. Like, if this had happened 20 years ago, who even knows
Right, exactly.
what would have even happened?
Yeah.
But here's where I think it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Big Shaq didn't shy away from this controversy at all.
He didn't.
He addressed it head on
Yeah.
with his signature humor. And that's what I think really caught people's attention.
I think his response was brilliant, honestly.
It was great.
Instead of getting bogged down in arguing with people,
Right.
he used humor to deflect the criticism,
Yeah.
but he still had a message.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like when he said, man's not political, man's just here to make you laugh.
Yes.
I mean, it's playful, but it makes his intentions clear.
It really does. And then there's that quote
Oh, yeah.
that basically broke the internet. Get your life right. Stop worrying about mine. I mean, I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah.
Memes, tweets, inspirational quote graphics.
It's everywhere.
Like everywhere.
That line is just pure gold. And in a world where everybody's obsessed with online drama and celebrity gossip, it's such a refreshing message of self-empowerment.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, focus on your own journey.
Yes.
Don't get caught up judging mine.
Exactly. And I think that message is really resonating, especially with younger generations
Sure.
who are just constantly bombarded
Right.
with information and opinions online.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we've got this like viral quote about self-focus.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to zoom out for a second
Okay.
and analyze how Big Shaq's humor is actually functioning in this situation.
Yeah, because it's really masterfully done.
It is.
By using humor, he creates a space for dialogue without alienating anyone.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the criticisms, but he doesn't engage in like a heated argument.
Right.
The jokes almost act as a shield,
Yeah.
allowing his message to land without sounding preachy or defensive.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of why it went viral. He didn't just shut down the conversation.
Right.
You know, he opened it up in a way
Yeah.
that felt really relatable and authentic.
Totally.
Even if you didn't agree with the decision to go to the inauguration.
I think so too.
And that authenticity,
Yeah.
I think it's really enhanced by the fact that he didn't just tweet about it.
Oh, yeah.
He released a whole video
Oh, video.
addressing this whole thing.
Right.
And it gives you even more insight
For sure.
into his thought process.
Right.
And in that video, he's really leaning into that idea
Yeah.
of staying true to himself despite all the noise.
Right.
And it's incredibly candid.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're getting a glimpse behind the curtain of the persona that we see online.
It's fascinating how he uses humor
I know.
to address such sensitive topics.
Yes.
Like, for example, when he says, people are out here acting like I'm running for office. Man's not running, man's just having fun.
Yeah.
He's pointing out how absurd the situation is.
It's so good.
Poking fun at how seriously people are taking this.
Yeah, like, come on, guys. Let's be real.
Exactly.
And then he's got that line, if you're worried about what I'm doing, you need a hobby. Try knitting or something.
Right.
I mean, it's funny.
It is.
But it also kind of makes you think.
It does.
Like, hey, maybe I am spending too much time worrying about what other people are doing.
Right.
Maybe I should get a hobby.
Exactly. And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because he's entertaining people, but he's also subtly prompting them to think critically about how they're behaving online.
It's like he's turning this whole controversy into a masterclass in communication and self-awareness.
Right.
Maybe even a little philosophy.
A little bit.
But before we get into all that,
okay,
I think we need to take a closer look at some of the techniques that he's using in the video and how they're all coming together to make this message.
Yeah, and that's where I'll pick up in part 2.
Exactly.
Of this deep dive.
We'll analyze the nuances of this humor.
The different types that he's using and how they work to deflect criticism, create a space for dialogue, and ultimately reinforce his message of self-empowerment.
Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back.
We are back.
Still breaking down Big Shaq's response to that inauguration appearance. And, you know, I'm really interested in how he uses humor to navigate this whole complex situation.
It's a smart strategy.
It is.
Especially in the world we live in online today.
Oh, yeah.
Things can escalate so quickly into these heated arguments.
It's like everyone's just waiting to pounce.
Right. And by using humor, he can kind of deflect that criticism without having to directly engage in that debate.
It's almost like a verbal judo move.
Yeah. Redirecting the energy of the attack. But not getting bogged down.
Without getting in the fight.
In a fight, exactly.
Yeah. So what kind of humor is he actually using here? Is it sarcasm? Is it self-deprecation?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't feel mean-spirited.
It's a mix.
Okay.
It's definitely a blend.
Yeah.
I think you see elements of absurdity, self-deprecation, even a little bit of satire all mixed together.
Yeah.
You know, it's really seamless. Like, for instance, the line about, man's not running for office, man's just having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's classic absurdity, right? Like, pointing out how outlandish the whole thing is.
Like, come on. Be real.
Exactly. And I think what's so interesting is it's not just about deflecting.
Okay.
He's actually using humor to create space for dialogue.
I love that.
He doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an invitation to the audience to do the same, to maybe engage with this topic in a more lighthearted way.
Right. And that's so important.
I think so.
Especially in a world that feels so polarized right now.
It's true. And it's also such a powerful way to disarm people.
Yeah.
When you use humor, you lower people's defenses.
You do.
You make them more open to hearing what you have to say, even if they don't agree with your choices.
Yeah, it's like, let's just have a conversation.
Right, exactly.
Let's not yell at each other.
Right.
So how does this all tie back to this idea of self-empowerment?
Yeah.
Because it feels like there's a connection there.
It's not just about entertainment. It's also a way to be resilient by choosing to laugh at the situation.
Yeah.
He's demonstrating a sense of self-assurance that I think is really empowering. It's like saying, you can criticize me all you want, but it's not going to stick because I'm not letting it define me.
And that's such a great message.
I think so.
For young people.
Especially
growing up online.
Totally.
Where there's so much pressure.
So much pressure.
To conform, to fit in, to be perfect.
To be perfect,
And Big Shaq is kind of showing us how to do it differently.
Right.
You know how to exist in this space without losing yourself.
He's modeling a different way to deal with online criticism that I think is grounded in self-awareness, a sense of humor, and a healthy dose of detachment.
It's not about ignoring it. It's about choosing how you're going to respond.
Exactly.
And sometimes the best way to respond is to just laugh.
to laugh it off.
It's almost like he's turned this negative thing into a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Right.
We also have to remember that this isn't happening in isolation.
Right.
There's a bigger societal context here.
Exactly.
That we need to think about.
And that's what I wanted to get into next.
Okay.
This whole situation really highlights
it does
the level of scrutiny that artists are facing these days.
Yeah.
Especially online.
Especially online.
Where every single thing they do.
Everything gets amplified.
Every association.
Yeah.
It all gets
dissected.
Analyzed. And, dissected.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about the relationship between an artist and their art.
Right.
And whether it's even possible to separate those two things.
That's a big question.
It is. I think that's a discussion for another time.
Another deep dive.
Another deep dive for sure. But it's definitely relevant here.
It is.
You know, Big Shaq's decision to attend, regardless of his intention, became this political statement for a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
And it sparked a whole debate.
It did.
About whether it's even fair to hold artists accountable for their beliefs or their actions.
It's a tough one.
It is. It's complex.
Yeah, really complex.
But you know what I find so fascinating?
What's that?
Is that despite all of this, Big Shaq never actually said that he agreed with.
He never aligned himself
with any of it.
Yeah.
He never took sides.
He stayed above the fray.
Yes. He managed to just stay above the whole thing.
And I think he did that by really emphasizing his personal journey, his intention to entertain. I mean, remember, man's not political. Man's just here to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Such a simple statement.
Yeah.
But so effective at deflecting those attempts to categorize him.
It really is. And it also goes back to this self-focus thing.
Yeah.
It's basically saying, you do.
You do you, I'll do me.
I'll do me, exactly.
And I think that resonates, especially with younger generations who are just tired of the negativity of political discourse.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, he's like offering us a different way to exist.
Yeah, a different model for navigating this increasingly divided world.
A world that feels very divided right now.
It does.
Yeah, and it's focused on individual empowerment, personal growth.
Yep.
And choosing your battles.
Choosing your battles.
I love that.
And that's a message that's resonating.
It is.
People are tired.
They are.
Of the arguing, the outrage, the pressure to choose a side.
Yeah.
And he's providing this path towards something that feels more balanced, more fulfilling, a different way to engage with the world.
This has been really eye-opening.
It has.
We started with this simple event.
It seems so simple.
A comedian going to a political thing.
Right.
And now we're talking about...
Yeah, now we're talking about art.
Art.
Online culture.
Self-empowerment.
Self-empowerment.
How to exist in this world.
How to exist in this crazy world.
That feels so divisive.
That's the power.
It is.
Of a good deep dive.
It is.
You know, we take something that seems straightforward.
Yeah.
And we unpack it. And suddenly we're talking about...
We're seeing all these connections.
All these connections between all these different things.
Yeah. And Big Shaq.
Big Shaq.
Whether he meant to or not, has really sparked this conversation that goes way beyond this one decision to go to this event.
He's making us think about how we behave online, about the relationship between artists and their art, about self-focus, about how we deal with all this in this world.
That feels so overwhelming.
That feels so overwhelming and so divisive.
And maybe that's the takeaway.
Maybe that is.
The biggest lesson from all of this.
What is it?
Is that we have to approach these complex situations with a mix of critical thinking, open-mindedness, and a sense of humor.
And a little bit of humor.
We can't take ourselves too seriously.
Can't take ourselves too seriously.
And that's where I think we'll leave it for now.
Okay.
But we still haven't addressed the elephant in the room.
The political implications of his appearance.
Yes, his appearance.
At the Trump inauguration.
At the Trump inauguration.
It's sensitive.
It is.
But we can't ignore it.
We can't.
And that's what we're going to talk about.
That's part 3.
In part 3 is deep dive.
So stay with us.
Okay, so we're back. And I think it's time to tackle the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The political implications of Big Shaq showing up at the Trump inauguration. It's a sensitive topic.
It is. It is.
For sure.
But, you know, it's really important to remember that we are approaching this from a communication and cultural perspective.
Right.
We are not here to take sides.
Not at all.
Or endorse any particular political viewpoint.
Exactly. We're here to understand how he handled this situation, what his response tells us about broader trends, and what we can learn.
Yeah, what can we take away from all this?
From his approach, exactly.
Okay, so let's just address the obvious here.
Okay.
The inauguration of Donald Trump was a highly divisive event.
It was.
And so Big Shaq being there, no matter what his intentions were, was bound to be seen through a political lens.
Through a political lens, absolutely.
And that's where I think his comedic persona gets really interesting.
It does.
Some people might say that it gives him a little bit of leeway.
Okay.
You know, people expect comedians to push boundaries.
To be irreverent.
To poke fun at powerful people.
To kind of challenge the status quo.
Yeah. So maybe his comedic identity could have acted as a buffer.
Yeah.
Okay. Allowing him to be there without immediately being categorized.
Right. It's like a shield almost.
Yeah. Like a shield. Exactly.
Protecting him from being put in a box.
Okay. But even with that shield, I mean, there are still risks.
Of course there are always risks.
When you associate yourself,
especially
with a specific event or figure.
In a political context.
Yeah, you leave yourself open.
You do.
To criticism from people who disagree.
Yeah.
From people who don't agree with that association.
Yeah, and we definitely saw that online.
We did.
Some fans felt betrayed.
Yeah.
Some felt like it just didn't fit.
Right, like it contradicted his image.
His image, yeah.
And some people were just straight up confused.
Right, and it really highlights the complexities of navigating the political landscape.
As an artist.
As an artist these days.
Especially online.
Especially online, because
it's a minefield.
Everything you do is under a microscope.
Yeah, and you know.
And there's potential for backlash.
Yeah.
Even if
your intentions are good.
Their intentions are totally pure,
But here's the thing that I think is really interesting.
Okay.
Despite this whole firestorm.
Yeah.
Big Shaq never actually said, I agree with any of this.
Yeah, he never explicitly...
He never took a side?
Aligned himself.
Yeah, he never said, I'm with this person.
Right, he managed to just...
He just stayed above it.
Stay above it by constantly emphasizing, you know, his personal journey, his intention to entertain.
Man's not political. Man's just here to make you laugh.
Exactly. And it's so simple.
It's so simple.
But so effective.
It worked.
At deflecting those attempts to put him...
To categorize him in a box.
And it goes back to that self-focus thing.
You do you, I'll do me.
Exactly. You do you, I'll do me.
And I think that's something that a lot of people...
Young people.
Especially young people...
Connect with.
Yeah.
They're tired.
They are so tired.
The arguing.
Of the negativity.
Yeah, the outrage.
It's exhausting.
Pressure to pick a side.
It is.
It's like, I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, there's another way.
Yeah.
A more balanced way.
A more fulfilling way.
To engage with the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive.
It's been a journey.
It has. We started with.
It really have.
What seemed like a simple event.
A comedian.
A comedian at a political event.
At an inauguration.
And now we're talking about.
So
many things.
The nature of art.
Art.
Online culture.
How to exist.
Self-empowerment.
In this crazy world.
How to exist in this crazy world.
We feel so divided. That's the power.
I know. It's amazing.
Of these deep dives.
Yes.
We take something seemingly simple.
Yeah.
And we unpack it.
Yeah.
And we find all these connections between seemingly disparate things.
It's wild.
It's amazing.
And Big Shaq.
Big Shaq, man.
Whether he meant to or not.
Whether he knew it or not.
He really sparked something.
He did.
That goes so much deeper.
Way deeper.
Than just that one decision.
Than showing up.
Yeah. He's made us think.
About how we behave online.
Yeah.
About what it even means.
Yeah.
To be an artist these days.
The relationship between art and the artist.
About how to focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
In this world.
That's constantly demanding our attention.
Yeah,
and I think the big takeaway. From all of this is.
that we have to.
We need to approach
all this with a healthy dose of critical thinking.
Open-mindedness. And a sense of humor.
And a little bit of humor.
We can't take ourselves too seriously. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Into Big Shaq.
But we want to leave you with one final question.
Okay, I like it.
How can we apply this message of self-empowerment and resilience to our own lives?
To our own lives.
How can we find that balance between engaging in meaningful conversations, but also protecting our own well-being?
Our own mental health.
In this world.
In this world.
That's just constantly demanding our attention and our opinions.
Our attention and our opinions.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And until next time.
Until next time.
Happy deep diving.